Today we're going to talk all about the Hades. Is this legendary flagship worth the investment? Let's chat about it. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming and this video has been sponsored by the makers of Infinite Galaxy. Now I've got a number of flagship projects that I've been working on. Some of them successful, others so far perhaps a little bit of a flop. I'm hopeful for this one, though. I'm hopeful. Let's talk about my final flagship project, the one that I'm thinking could be pretty solid, which is the Hades. Now, the Hades is a flagship focused on destroyers, and I don't have any other flagship right now that's focused on destroyers. That's why it's a project that I'm slowly working on over time. Now, when I say I'm slowly working on this over time, I mean that I'm occasionally buying some bundles that have this flagship. I'm occasionally playing the events where you spend some money and you get some fragments or some blueprint fragments of this flagship. But all of my Legendary Federation credits are going into the Artemis for now. That's a separate idea as to whether or not this is worth it. I'm gonna say maybe not, but let's talk about the Hades, okay? This is my destroyer project. I don't have any other destroyer flagship, and I want a way to mobilize them. So here is the skills that this flagship has, and the first one is maybe concerning. This is a laser-based weapon attack. Look, the destroyers are not going to have laser-based attacks at the top tier, and this is the one and only thing that makes me concerned. The tier 9 destroyers are going to have laser-based attacks, but the tier 10 are going to be missiles again. So unless they release maybe just one tier of warship higher than 10, and then it's lasers again, this flagship is at a little bit of a disadvantage. Alternatively, there is an argument that could be made that perhaps you should be using slightly lower tier warships anyways to reduce your repair costs. I don't know, but this is the one and only really miss with this flagship that makes me perhaps a little bit concerned. But if we go now to the next skill, it is going to increase your navigate speed and also your fleet leadership limit. At the upper end, we're talking about 25.2% navigate speed. That is very fast. The destroyers are slower than frigates, and this will make you go as fast as your frigates, that's for sure. The fleet leadership limit is going to be increased by 1,638. That is a lot of warships to stuff into a rally, to stuff into a battle that's happening in the field. It's pretty meaningful. The next skill is going to be destroyer attack and hit points. Ooh, that is strong. I've got it at 21.6%, but at the upper end of things, you're looking at 60.5%. Wow, that is a ton of attack and hit points. And this is why, with this flagship, you probably want to bring all destroyers. That's what it's designed for. I mean, it tells you that up in the top over here. It tells you that's what's ever mobility and destroyers, okay? Mobility because of all the speed that it gets. We're not done with speed, by the way. The next skill gives you more navigate speed, another 30.2%. I mean, you are flying with these destroyers to either get to a fight or run away from a fight you don't want to take. And if you get caught in the open field, at that point it's GG, you're in the fight. So you can use this speed to get to encounters or run from encounters that you don't want to take, move really, really fast. The total warship shields are also increased by 60.5%. So between these two skills, you're looking at 60.5% attack, hit points, and warship shields. And by the way, well, not quite 60.5% navigate speed, 55.5% or so navigate speed. Amazing. The final skill, even more attack and also some range. Now, range is something where I'm like, how exactly does this work? I guess your destroyers will be the last ones to get hit if there's a bunch of destroyers all stacked up and fighting. I guess there's value to that. But what I want to call your attention to is the attack, because 34% more attack, 34%. It's a lot. 34% attack, 34% range. This flagship is designed to just all around boost your destroyers. It's not really solely focused on attacking. It's not really solely focused on tanking like the Artemis, which is a tanking flagship. I mean, really, this is all about armor and shield and more shields and hit points. Like, you're not going to make your frigates do more damage. No, this is very balanced. Some tankiness and some damage. Now, in terms of the gear that you would use, I mean, I think obviously you would focus all of your weapons on whatever sort of warship you're using. If it's missiles, then you want missile boosting weapons here. If it's lasers, you want laser boosting weapons. And in terms of the captain, I would recommend for this particular flagship, I would be looking to the epic commander or crew member right over here, Amelia Irving. She is going to boost the attack and hit points of your destroyers. Right? Like, that seems like a really straightforward crew choice to me. And really solid. All around solid. Exactly what you want to do. And the reason I like these three crew members, Amelia Irving, and also the two that I already have deployed, they're right up over here. Michael Flamingo, who's boosting frigates, and also this dude right over here, Captain Goodman, who's boosting cruisers. I like these crew members as captains because that's all they boost. So unless you're running around with all your fleets as destroyers, right, they should be captains of a flagship rather than in your spaceport crew. That's my opinion. But, you know, as soon as you have multiple fleets using that unit type, it becomes a different story. So I think that I would try to captain this flagship with this crew member right over here, Amelia Irving. It just seems like it would make a ton of sense to do that. That would be my number one pick. The realistic choice that I might make, however, might end up being like Laura, who I have leveled up a whole heck of a lot. She'd give a fleet leadership limit boost of 600. Hello, yes, please. And also some flagship attack. Hey, all that seems pretty good for the Hades. Those would be the choices that I'd recommend. The final crew member choice you could make if you had, depending on whether or not it's missile or laser as the primary weapon for your warships, you would use either. Where are they? Well, apparently I haven't even unlocked the crew member who boosts missile weapons, but I do have Helen. So if it were laser-based, right, you would use her as a captain. And oh my gosh, 36.9% laser. That's a little out of control. Kinetic is obviously for your frigates and also for your cruisers. So that's not really an option that would work here. But you get the idea. Those are the top tier crew members that I could recommend. This is not, that's not it. That's armor. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Those are the crew members I would recommend. And if you're interested in the idea of having a destroyer-based fleet and you're not spending, or you aren't going to use the credits that you've got, the Advanced Federation credits, to work on that flagship, then the Radamanthus is your option. And we'll make a separate video, perhaps looking at the Radamanthus, which is basically a scaled-down version, an easier-to-rank-up version of the Hades. And the advantage of this is that you can get a lot of ranks and be really effective. You know, I'm using a Brontus, and my Brontus is just about as good as all my other flagship possibilities right now, and we've got some interesting ones in the mix here. So I think that going for a couple of these different epic tier, purple tier flagships is not a bad idea. And if you were going to go for the Radamanthus, that seems pretty reasonable to me. The other option would be to go with a flagship that doesn't care about the unit type, and that also would be a really strong play. You could use a mixed fleet, jam whatever you've got, a bunch of leftovers into there. That would be super reasonable. But the longer that we play this game, the more likely it feels to me that you'll want to have flagships that are specialized, which is why eventually I'll have enough experience to start to drop stuff onto the Hades and maybe some gear we could put onto this thing, and we'll use that too. So that would give me an end game plan of using the Artemis, of using the Brontus. So I've got ways for frigates and cruisers. I could have another fleet of cruisers and mixed stuff over here, theoretically, with the Hephaestus. And then, last but not least, would be the Hades. That's the only one I haven't actually leveled up yet. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of the Hades. Is this flagship worthy? Or is it perhaps just going to be a little bit overrated? Like my experience with this one so far when compared to an epic. And look, I know I'm going to rank this up more, and I bet you it's going to be really spectacular. And I know the way that I'm testing is, you know, not taking advantage of the fact that, yeah, you get extra health when you battle other players. If you want to see the testing we have done with this flagship, check out the card up in the top for that video. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing your nebula, and smash a like on this video and subscribe.